Hi there, this is Brandon. I'm your exam doctor. Today we're going to look at your Part 2 speaking, which a lot of students find very daunting in their IELTS test. What students seem to kind of have a problem with is producing enough language and telling enough story. Now, I say it often, IELTS is a test of structure and it's a test of vocab. So if you follow the structures and you improve your vocab and your general English, you can then sort of aim at the higher scores. So today we're going to look at how to do this Part 2 and using the past, present, and future strategy within English. So what we want to do is we want to highlight our English to our examiner. Instead of him hunting for our structures, we're going to produce those structures and actually offer them to him on a plate. All right, let me get some notes up for us and we can have a look at how to do this. All right, so if we look closely here, we can see what a question would be or could be in your Part 2. So you're given a minute to prepare this, and then you have to speak for between 1 and 2 minutes, not longer than 2. A lot of students see this as their goal to make it past 2. Don't do that. Just aim at getting to 2 minutes and telling your story. All right, let's look at this question. The question is a shopping center. Describe a center that you visited or one that you know about. And you should say where the shopping center is, how people get to the center, what kind of shops it has, and explain whether you think it's a good place to go shopping. All right, so when we're approaching our planning, it's important that we look at having some nice time references. We want to show all of our tenses in English. We want to have some kind of complicated grammar structure. Want to compare something, contrast something, maybe do a conditional sentence, passive, maybe even some cleft sentencing if you can. We'd like to put an idiom in the speaking. To get above a 6.5 in your speaking, you need to have idiomatics within the speaking and the language. All right, so what do? We now, doing our planning, we want to make sure that we have this time reference. Every time we want to put a time reference in. We then want to show all of these tenses and all of this hard work that we've been doing studying for our IELTS. We want to obviously jump and transition between our speaking, and we want to look back and sort of walk around in our tenses. All right, so let me answer that question for you, and you can see how I do it. Start with a very clear time reference. A couple of years ago, all right? And then I'm going to have nowadays as my present reference, and I'm going to have in the future, all right? So a couple of years ago, my partner and I went on a tour to Southeast Asia. We saw some amazing malls while we were there, but one really stood out and top of mind. And when I think about Far East Asia or Southeast Asia, and it would be the Jewel in Singapore. This shopping center is right at the airport, and it has really luxurious shops. I think it's a fantastic place. I would be over the moon if I could afford to shop there. I think the shops are too high end for me. All right, so what I've done now, just to pause, is I've done the past. I've done the complete past. I now need to show my present and my future tenses. So I go, nowadays, I still think about that trip and that gorgeous shopping center that we saw. I think it's one of the best shopping centers that I've ever seen in my life. And I would be, as I said, over the moon if I could afford to shop there. I think in the future, when I get a bit more money, I think I might head back to Singapore. I'd like to spend a whole day in the Jewel instead of the 1 hour that we had at the airport. And that's how you answer a Part 2. So start with your past, move to your present, look back at the past, and then go into your future. Notice there were idioms in there. I used comparisons. I showed all my tenses with some clear time references. I certainly hope this helps you with your speaking and getting a higher mark in your test. We look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day. and see you on the exam doctor next